So I'm live, apparently. Yep, it just came up that I'm live, so that's cool. Um, I decided I'm just going to get some water. Oh, here I am. Cool. So I just want to get some water. I'm here to talk about. I mean, I generally don't do. Well, most of my live chats have been about comedy or my baptism or God or whatever. But those that know me pretty well will know that I also have depression, and just today it really has got me by the scruff of the neck, as they say, and it's been a pretty. I mean, there's no reason for it to be a shitty day, except that my brain is telling me it is, and it's really annoying. And I don't. Of course, depression is one of those things or anxiety is one of those things which is just pretty much swept under the carpet, like which is very disappointing. It's something that can affect a lot of people, and through through life circumstances, I am one of the you know 1,000 people or whatever. I'm one of these people that has basically depression and anxiety, and it's not pleasant. I thought that I might have had bipolar, but I'm told that I may not have bipolar. I think I might have bipolar, but I don't know whether I do or don't. And from the Facebook messages I've been getting, people are saying maybe it's just me getting used to this medication, and I haven't been on the medication for too long, and I googled some of the side effects. So in a way, it's sort of comforting to know that what I'm experiencing is perfectly normal for people going through depression. And so it's not a personal attack on me. I'm not crazy. I'm not just, these things aren't happening because I've been a bad person or anything like that. And I just sort of want to talk about what it's like to have depression. And because it's something that's really, it's like a demon, and it's like a demon being inside your mind. And I can be stable for 2 weeks, and then suddenly something will happen for whatever reason, and I can feel like crap again. So I don't know. I am diagnosed with Asperger's, which one of the symptoms is that you do get depression, but there's no real. And what annoys me is that there's no reason for me to have depression. There's no that it doesn't make sense that I have depression. You know, I mean, even if I am diagnosed with Asperger's or whatever, it doesn't really. It just means there's certain things I struggle with, like anyone. People aren't mean to me. People don't criticize me. But my brain, it's sort of like it becomes my enemy. Um, and during this stream, I'm going to be talking in an American accent because this is my way of coping with life when I get depressed. Um, and I don't know if this will help people or anything, or it might, just for the record, just so people know, I'm not suicidal. I mean, there are times when I feel like, well, life is hard, and I wish this pain would go away. But I'm a Christian, and I know that this is not what God wants. God doesn't want me to take my life, or He doesn't want me to, you know, He doesn't. This is not from God. This is just the enemy trying to get the better of me. And I guess I always thought that, when I'm stable, which I really treasure those days, I'm really just I feel like I'm in heaven. And today I feel like I'm somewhere between heaven and hell, even though I'm here on planet Earth. So I'm going to speak in an American accent, and I put this on my YouTube page, not my my main Facebook page because I don't know. I figured that I'll, I'll link people to this. Some people may not want to listen to this because not a lot of people want to address um, depression and anxiety. This is sort of a healing thing for me because it helps people to understand me and what I go through. And I'm not. I definitely don't want to be playing the victim here. It's I'm the person that has these issues, and it's very annoying because there's no reason for it. I was on, and I'll talk more about that later. But um, I guess I should just talk about what's on my mind, and it may not make sense to people and stuff, but today's one of those days when my brain is feeling crap. So I just need to sort of vent out things. So here we go. I'm going to speak American because, as I said, it sort of helps me feel a bit better in a strange way. So yeah, so as I've said, I today wasn't the best day of my life. It wasn't the worst either. Um, I'm a person who I feel that like as people we've all got these things where we're perfect in every way, and then we have these demons that we have to face. And some people have to face demons of spousal abuse or bad blood in the family or a bad partner or whatever. In my case, it's the demons of depression, which, and it's true, and it's been said before that depression and anxiety, which kind of go hand in hand, um, turn normal people into zombies. And it's not something you necessarily can see, or if you can see, it's not something that people always want to talk about because the stigma around depression is, oh well, I don't know, for some reason it's just taboo or whatever. But I there's no reason for me to feel shitty. I have a few issues. I am diagnosed with Asperger's, uh, and I have bad coordination. So I don't know. I probably could drive if I wanted to, but I'm over. I don't feel like, yeah, I am a little bit on the spectrum or whatever that. But I also feel like I'm not going to let that stop me. I can do whatever I want, and when I'm sane, when I'm feeling great, I'm just like everyone else. I'm a real social butterfly, which is really the bizarre thing about being on the spectrum or whatever, is that when you're feeling great, you're like 100%. But then when you feel down, you feel like crap. And I was talking to someone who said that some of the symptoms may be related to my medication. I can't even remember the name of one of my medications. I take paroxetine for depression or whatever, antidepressants or whatever. And so I take them, and and I googled it, and it said that dizziness, nausea, having headaches, and losing certain aspects of your losing your sex drive. It's kind of weird, personal, but is all part of recovering all the side effects. Well, I've only been on this medication now for, oh God, probably about maybe 2 or 3 weeks or something. And there are other things that was said, like it said that it affects your person's memory. And I can't remember, like the other day I said to someone, I was at church, and I can't remember. I think I wrote down some notes at church, but I'm not completely sure. And I can't remember a lot. I can remember like birthdays and stuff like that, but I can't remember basically what I did yesterday. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there is such a stigma about depression, and it's a stigma that I feel needs to be more out in the open. There's no the depression is something which is a genetic thing, and so I don't blame. We're all broken people. I'm a Christian person, and I know very well that like God is not in heaven going, oh, I'm gonna this Paul Drennan, this guy here, I'm gonna, he's got depression. He's not laughing at me. God didn't cause this. It's the world. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the emotional pain that a person with depression feels, and it's very hard to describe when they're in a really bad way, it's like being dead. People will look at me and they go, well, okay, I was on the train this afternoon, and I was on the train, as I said, and people were around me. They were going about their lives. I just wanted to scream, hey, I feel like crap. But I didn't want to do it. I didn't do it because of society or whatever. But I just really wanted to tell people that I wasn't feeling all the best. And and what really sucks about having depression is that people don't know how to help, or they won't help, or whatever. People are not trained, unless a psychiatrist or whatever, to understand people with depression. I've always been told, oh, I've got no reason to be upset. I've got parents that love me. I have a lot of friends. I got 101 Facebook friends. So, but there is something that deep within me that makes me unhappy, and there's no reason for it. I mean, it may stem back. I mean, obviously, and I don't think people even see me, like, you know, Asperger's is something which is just a word to describe me, basically. And I don't see myself as being necessarily a victim of that, but I do think that when I was younger, I saw myself as being a victim of, you know, um, life and things. And I'd had depression for a long time. And I was only medicated in 2009. And it's very, I'd like to explain what, it's more anxiety than depression. And I'd like to explain what it does to my brain. My brain feels like, and I've said this before, like it's like a TV station that won't the channel won't work or whatever. Um, yeah, basically my brain feels fuzzy, and it's not. I don't feel. It's hard to explain because I don't feel like I'm a less than. Like I feel like I'm me. I'm a guy who has had a few hard breaks in life, but I'm not somebody who feels like I'm belittled by the world because of my differences. We all have differences, you know. Like I saw a woman today who's in a wheelchair. There are people that are worse off than me. I don't have my own house, but my parents own it. There are people that are worse off, and so I don't feel. And I saw this beautiful girl today who had cerebral palsy. You know what I mean? So nobody's immune to the human condition. I don't feel like I should be perfect, and I just feel like, even the fact that I have Asperger's apparently is not really the whole. Hey, this is what makes me me. You know what I mean? But the depression side of things is a real pest, and that is something which, if I could have one wish, I would want to get rid of that. I don't mind not having a car. I work part time for the big issue. I don't care about any of that. What I do care about is the fact that my depression can get really bad, and there's no reason for it. I've never been attacked. I mean, I've had a pretty good life. I'm me. As you can tell, I'm a semi good looking guy. I'm Nobody looks at me like I'm people know, oh, that guy, he doesn't drive a car, but so what? A lot of people don't drive cars, especially in New York, even though I'm from Australia. But so it's just this sort of feeling that, like, it's hard to explain. It's kind of like I feel it's really hard because my emotions is one thing that people with Asperger's have trouble with is emotions and explaining themselves. And I guess the thing is that I actually feel that, I don't know, that my sometimes I feel like life has passed me by. You know what I mean? Like I don't I don't see people that are married and go, oh God, I wish I, you know, sorry God, I wish I was them. But at the same time, I do wish I was married sometimes. You know, I'm not envious of the married people because, you know, to be married, I'd have to give up a lot of my free time to be married and commit myself to someone. And I'm not jealous of married people, but I'm jealous of the experience, I guess I should say. I'm jealous of the experience of people that are, you know, of people that are married, or, you know, I wish that I had that special woman that would be mine to be my wife. I know people are going to say, well, being married's not everything or whatever. I, you know, I wish that I don't feel like, you know, I've I was diagnosed with Asperger's before I was medicated. I was diagnosed when I was 20, and you know, that was in 2001. You know, it's been 17 years, and nobody, I don't think anyone ever looks at me and thinks, oh, that, or, you know, I'm not, I don't classify myself as being autistic. That's, you know, Asperger's is like the highest, at least in my case, is the highest functioning level. So I'm not one of these people that are autistic and feel like the world's against them and has no friends or whatever. I'm just someone who has these a few things which, you know, like depression or whatever, which I find difficult to express how I feel and express my feelings. So apparently that means I have Asperger's or something. Apparently, um, you know, I accept that I'll never be a perfect person, and I know that's the way we were designed. I also know that Jesus has my best interest at heart. And someone was saying to me that maybe I should wait a few weeks and just find the right medication for me, because it's just started to happen just recently. And you know, I didn't think too much of it, but when I Googled it, I realized, well, this is what happens. And whether the side effects are positive or negative, I don't know, or if it's just my brain uh, rewiring itself to be, you know, for me to be happier or something. But I really just feel like I need to vent tonight. And I know there are people, you know, I know, and I don't blame my friends for not, you know, my friends are lovely people. Of course, they're my friends. But depression and anxiety are one of those things which are really, it's very hard to talk about. And this is probably why I didn't do it on my main Facebook page. I did a link to my, but I guess I always had this very, I don't know, I mean, I don't know what actually caused me to be feel unhappy, because there was no, I guess, I mean, when I was little, I was very anxious, you know, I was very shy and stuff, but that's just, you know, and then I became very anxious a lot of the time. And I think maybe that's what it's been, is that the depression, which I believe, as I said before, is probably genetic. Um, has sort of followed me into my adulthood. And, you know, if I just broken up with my girlfriend or I'd had a fight with someone, I'd understand the depression. And obviously, when I have been through, you know, very dark times with like breaking up with my girlfriend or my ex-girlfriend, as it is now, and, you know, when bad things have happened, if someone's died or whatever, I've been depressed, which is understandable. But to be depressed for no reason is, and just very suddenly as well, I'm wondering whether that has something to do with my medication, or someone suggested to me it may bring me closer to God, which is a very real possibility. You know, I guess it's fair to say that the human brain is such a complex thing that we don't really know why these things happen. And I mean, the other side of the coin, and I mean, like I said before, is that, man, I'm so hot. Is that, like I said before, is that I've had times when I've been felt like, well, why not just disappear from life forever? You know what I mean? Um, but the good times are becoming more frequent, which are good. For a long time, I was depressed and unhappy pretty much all year, more or less. But I've been able to see the light, so to speak, a little bit more, and I realize that people. I mean, I'm sure there are probably people in the world who don't like me, but whatever. But generally speaking, I don't feel like people are judging me and stuff because everybody's got something to deal with. And people probably, and I honestly think people may not even know that I have depression, or maybe they do. I don't know. I mean, I think everyone on the train did today because I look like crap. But I've got a lot to look forward to, so I don't feel I feel confident at least. I mean, I'm feeling kind of crappy now, but I feel confident that um, I'm going to feel better, and I'm hoping to sort of work this out with the doctor. I will bring him up tomorrow and try and work out why is this happening. Again, not so much. If you have depression, it takes a long time to kind of rewire the brain, and I don't think there's ever going to be a day when I'm completely happy. I I'm hoping. I was stable on on Friday. I was feeling great, and then on Saturday, I kind of just, for whatever reason, I started to feel crappy again. And then yesterday, I had a headache and stuff like that. This morning, I woke up and I had a headache as well, and I was feeling nauseous, and I just felt my brain felt like a TV channel that wouldn't go on. And by and large, and also, I mean, I'm strangely enough, I call myself a comedian because I think that I'm funny, and I'm apparently doing stand-up comedy in February 2019, so I have to steal life for that. Um, I don't, yeah, I don't feel. The thing is, though, I want to just get better, like anyone does, and if in fact these side effects are just a natural thing that happens when a person is overcoming depression. I guess I'll just have to grin and bear it. But I just, if there is a chance that the medication I take, um, if I need to take other medication, I don't even remember the name of the second medication that I take. To be honest, it's downstairs or whatever. Then I'll have to take it because um, feeling nauseous, feeling like your brain is um, about to explode when you're supposed to be on antidepressants kind of makes you feel more depressed. Now, if this is a side effect, then I don't know. I'd like to kind of believe that when you take medication, that there's a good chance that it's designed to make you feel better. The fact that as I said, for uh, my depression has lessened and lessened, and over time, and I had gone for I'd gone a month without getting depressed, and then was it last month, or yeah, last month I got depressed, and in fact I was stable for about a week, and then I got back to where I am now, which is kind of not really. It's not depressed like, oh God, I hate my life, or sorry God, but, or oh, life sucks, or anything. It's just kind of just your brain sort of, it just gets overwhelmed or whatever. And it has been said actually that people on the spectrum, which I think we all probably are to a degree, have these issues because not necessarily because of Asperger's, but because of who they are and their brains reacting to society and the different challenges um, that happens. But I can say that yeah, Sunday I had church, which was lovely. I love church, and the people there are great. But I started to feel overwhelmed, and not nobody did anything. But and then yesterday I woke up, I had a headache, and I was feeling nauseous, and I was sweating all the time, like sweating more than anyone. And even today, I was really, like I said, well, I haven't told anyone this, but I sell the Big Issue magazine. Maybe I told people that, whatever. I sell the Big Issue magazine, so I went into the city today in Brisbane. I'm an Australian guy, but I'm talking American because it helps me with my depression, so whatever. So I went into Brisbane, and I usually go to this certain spot, and this guy was there saying, "Oh man, he'd already booked the spot," and I was really feeling crappy, and I just wasn't feeling in the spirit. And I guess maybe it just comes down to I don't have enough people to talk to. Uh, but I guess it's sort of like I wish my life was in a different place. There are going to be people that are married saying, "Hey, man, marriage isn't everything." And I don't know if being married would make me complete. Jesus never got married or whatever. But I think that I kind of want to find out whether this medication is, whether, obviously, if you take medication, for me, it seems that the medication I'm taking makes things a lot worse. It makes my brain a lot worse. It makes my anxiety a lot worse. And the worst thing is that I can be stable for a month or a couple of weeks, and I can be happy. I can just be and I feel it too. Other people feel it. I feel like a complete person. I feel really good. And then I don't know whether it's just the environment or whatever, but then I can just feel really crappy and really kind of angry at myself that I'm not married. And like, again, I'm not sort of, I don't look at other people that are married and go, oh, you know they've got the best lives, because everybody knows that marriage is one of those things. But it's sort of, it comes and goes, and it's really, it really hurts like a mother effer when it does, because it takes away, it turns me into a zombie, basically. And anyone else who's ever experienced depression and anxiety will know that it's not a pleasant thing. I know a few people, I won't mention names, but I wish more people would kind of reach out. And I don't know if many people on Facebook will or whatever, because it's sort of almost seen as taboo. And again, most people are not going to probably even respond, because like they're going to be talking about their kids or whatever. But I I know that some of these things are just irrational. It's irrational for me to, because I'm a good guy. I don't drive a car, but I'm a good guy. I'm not someone, I've never beaten up a woman. I've never hurt a child. I've never, I'm a human being. I've done a few worldly things, but I try and be a good person. I don't feel, in other words, I don't feel limited. I don't feel that I'm a limited person. I feel like I've got the intelligence, and even though supposedly I'm on the spectrum, I kind of see it like this: that I have, the Asperger side of me is depression, and the whole picture of me being a human being is just me. Um, and the times that I'm stable, I'm really happy, over almost extremely happy. And I just sort of feel, at the moment I'm feeling a little bit crappy, but I'm not feeling like, again, I believe there's a better world ahead of us, and I don't feel like, if I was at a point where, if I had no friends or I had no family, if I was one of these guys that sort of had given up on the world and I'd isolated myself from people, I'd probably want to kill myself. But fortunately, I have a lot of friends, which is amazing. I mean, not so much amazing, but people seem to like my sense of humor, which, and I have a lot of friends, and I want to stay alive. And I don't feel like, I kind of feel like, how can I put this rotten depression is something that, once I get the right medication, or I can talk to the doctor, if indeed it does me, like, I can kind of accept, well, obviously I don't like to have, you know, obviously it's not pleasant to wake up and have a headache and feel nauseous or whatever. If that is a side effect of the medication kicking in, I'll have to probably accept that. If that's the case, and generally speaking, if I can accept that and I know that it's going to happen, I can kind of be prepared for it in a way. And then, sort of, in the morning I have a headache, and then by the afternoon, by later in the day, I feel a little bit better. If that's what I mean, if that's something I have to deal with. But if I need to change medications, I'll change medications, because I don't like having depression, but I also know that nobody's caused it, and I know that nobody, that each day is a different day, and I believe in Jesus. And someone was saying that this one of their friends' experiences brought them closer to Jesus, and maybe this is what I need, and to be closer to Jesus. So um, tomorrow morning, I'm going to ring up my GP and just talk to him about that, and not about Jesus, but just about my medication and stuff like that. And hopefully, I'll be a bit better. I've been doing some exercise. I probably need to do a bit more. Um, and I'm fortunate, as I said before, that I have a lot of that I have quite a lot of people that think I'm cool. I guess, I mean, I noticed today I was actually feeling kind of crappy, and I probably shouldn't have gone to the city today because it was just, my usual spot where I sell the papers. Somebody had beaten me to the punch, and I was really feeling crappy. Someone's watching. Hey, whoever's watching. Um, Someone's watching. Um, but I don't know if it's the person that I know or whatever. But as I said today, I was walking in Brisbane, and I kind of had my head down. I kind of probably looked like Rain Man or something. I was feeling so shitty, and I did have a few people look at me a little bit oddly, but I understood because I was having a pretty bad day. I don't really. The thing with me is that I'm actually feeling good socially, which is probably an unusual thing for a person with ASD. I also have a great memory for things, but the depression side of things, as I said, turns me and other people into zombies, whether you have Asperger's or not, and it's not pleasant. At the moment, I'm looking forward to calling up my GP tomorrow and talking to him about what I'm feeling and seeing what he has to say. I call him now, but I think he's probably finished work. And hopefully the medication, and whether, it's because my brain, I don't know whether, I mean, I felt feelings like that before. My brain had sort of, I had a headache in the morning, but I just thought, well, maybe I was hungover or something. But someone here. I'm just typing here. I'm just typing here. Yeah, so with one person watching, it's pretty cool. And as I said, yeah, I'm from Australia, suburban. I sound like maybe from Brazil or somewhere. And I guess it's kind of strange because I usually I don't even know what I was saying. When I get depressed, which is something, people are weird because when I've done stand up comedy, I've Irvin, I'll talk in my normal Australian voice later. um, but when I get depressed, I really feel kind of weird, and it's just something which you just wish people would reach out and stuff. And I really, I don't wish this on anyone. And I've said this before, that depression is something which I don't wish on my worst enemies, because it's feelings and there's no reason for it. If you imagine, I don't really know what situation to compare it to, but if you're having a bad day, if you've had a bad day, let's just say, for example, that your mom or dad had just died. God forbid, my parents are still alive, but or your ex-girlfriend had died, which had happened to me a few years ago. My ex-girlfriend Karen, she had epilepsy and she died of a seizure, and I was very depressed. I'm very sad over that, which is understandable. And I went to church, and I hadn't told I told a few people. And when you're in a situation when only a few people know your pain, and everyone's going on like life's so damn great, and you're there just mourning over someone, and you don't, it becomes overwhelming, and the thoughts become, and you just start to, you explode basically. And that's sort of how I felt today, that I was feeling crappy and I just wanted to scream, and I'm gonna scream right now. I sound like Elton John or something, but whatever. God, I just want to scream. I sound weird doing that, but society, right? You can't do it for the society. Pardon me, but it's one of those situations where you're feeling like crap, and you look around and everybody around you is just oblivious to your pain. And the one thing that really annoys me is that I'm often told, "Oh, you look too good," or "you're too, you look normal." Well, what have you got to be upset about? I don't have, I'm not a bad guy. I'm not someone who's, I mean, yeah, I had a few learning problems at school, but I'm 38 years old. I'm not a little guy anymore. I'm a man. I have I may have mentioned this, Irvin, that I have Asperger's, which, I'm on the spectrum, shall we say. I'm not, and that's not why I'm talking like this. It's just that this is my way of coping with my depression, is to talk American, and I actually think it sounds better than my stupid Australian voice. So, Irvin's gone. Anyway, so, and it's just like, I was on the bus today, and I looked around, there were people there, and everyone was, just going about their day. And I just felt it saying, hey, I'm going through hell in my mind. Can someone just say, hey, I've been through that hell too? Like if Scarlett Johansson came up to me or someone and was like, hey, baby, I've had that thing too. I know I'm not alone. I know there are people in the world, or there are people out there that have had depression and anxiety, and it's just sort of that your brain is, and hopefully my GP will be able to help me with this. I'm really hoping so. And God and family and friends, of course. I want to do whatever it takes, and I know that not every day is going to be great. And I also am realistic. I know that I'm a human being, and that we will never be as great as Jesus. And some people might find it weird that I'm talking American when I'm Australian, but whatever. I know that I'll always have human issues. I just hate the depression side of things. And I think everyone who has depression hates it. Nobody willingly has depression. I even think a sadist would. And it turns me into a zombie, because I'm aware, it would be a different story if, again, like I said, if someone had done something terrible to me, or if I, had a bad day, or if someone had done something wrong, or if someone had sassed me or whatever. But it's not like that at all. We're all at different things. And I mean, I do also think that one of the reasons that I only work part-time is because of this anxiety. But I really, this is reality, it's not my fault. And at least I'm working, I don't feel, the only thing I can't do is I can't drive a car. I'm a guy that really, even though, I mean, my person, it's weird. I have this kind of, it's almost like a split personality. I'm not a schizo or whatever, but there's, my side where I like comedy and stuff like that. And there's a side where I get depressed and I just sort of feel like crap. And it's really kind of hard when you're somewhere where everyone else is just enjoying themselves to be like, hey. But like I said, I'm going to talk to my GP tomorrow. And, I feel, even though I'm feeling crappy at the moment, I feel confident that eventually I'm going to be fine. And I'm just, I really, obviously, in a perfect world, we'd have no dramas. And, if I think, how can I put this? I think the fact that the headache and all that, someone said it was a symptom of it. It sort of, I felt like that yesterday, actually Sunday morning. Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning, and today, which is Tuesday. Um, you know, uh, and that was probably because I was feeling my brain. You kind of it's hard to explain. With me, I have to continuously say good things like, "Oh, thank God I don't have cancer," or things that keep me sane. And I have to continuously say these things in my mind. And occasionally, these thoughts become like, after I say it in my head 100 times, they sort of wore out, and I'm back to thinking, "Oh God, what's wrong with me?" You know what I mean? So I need to constantly be reminded in my mind that I'm a good person. Because when you're someone like me, and I mean, I hate to say this, but depression has been something, and it's been my biggest, the biggest bugger in my life. I mean, it's not something, I at school I was very anxious, and I had a school reunion a few weeks ago, and I, caught up with people and said, "Hey, this is," and I was feeling a little bit better for a while. Then just before the reunion happened, the depression seemed to just pile right on. Um, Even though I had no, I guess it's probably just the fear of the unknown. I reconnected with a lot of people from school, so I enjoyed that. But it was just, it's just my brain overanalyzes things and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm going to talk to my GP tomorrow, and like I said before, I'm not at death's door, far from it. Because I do know that generally speaking, I am happy. I've just had a really crappy day today. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna watch a bit of TV and stuff like that, and hope everyone's doing well. Thank you. I'll keep you updated.